Recently, it came out that almost definitively Nintendo will be releasing a Nintendo Switch Pro in the coming months, and I'm wondering, do we need one? Short answer, yes. My name is Cassius Kent, and I like to get straight to business. Hi everyone. So, if you weren't aware, I believe it was Bloomberg that broke the story that Nintendo will indeed be releasing a Nintendo Switch Pro around the end of the year, 2021. It might get pushed to 2022 because we are still in a pandemic, but all signs point to holiday 2021, and they detail all the things that it will have. It will be 4K when docked, it would have a better OLED screen, it would have a cheaper OLED screen, and not cheaper as in material, just cheaper to purchase, and it will be able to play games, run games better, basically. So it's a Switch Pro, that's the idea, right? It will be able to, instead of struggling to hit 30, will stay at a constant 30. I don't expect there to be, get a 1080, the screen itself will be a 720p screen, so immediately it is not 1080, but I believe that with the screen size of the Switch, and a lot of people also think this, since it's so small, the difference between 1080 and 720 would be so minimal, you won't even really notice it. It'd be like watching a 4K video on your phone. It is so compressed that it looks incredible, but you are watching it on your phone, and that's the idea behind it. And I think that that's a good thing. I think that getting a lower resolution but cheaper screen would be better for the product in the long run. It keeps the cost way down, because the Switch Pro, instead of costing $400, it might cost $300, which is how much the current Switch costs, which would be insane. And the current Switch might go down to $250, and the Switch Lite might go down to $150, or the Switch might go down to $200, and the Switch Lite might go down to $150. Which, if you can buy a Nintendo Switch for $150, it would cement Nintendo as the best-selling game console every month forever. Because even at $200, a Switch Lite is an insane deal. Which is nothing to say of Joy-Con drift. It is a relatively easy problem to fix if you know how to look, if you know where to look, and if you're willing to break your warranty and open your system. Because I don't recommend sending back your product to Nintendo, because you're never going to get it back. And if you do, all your save data is going to be gone, so But Joy-Con drift issues aside, I think that a Switch Pro would be perfect for Pokemon Legends Arceus, will be perfect for Breath of the Wild 2, will be perfect for whatever games are coming down the pipeline that really struggle to hit 30 even. And I don't need my games, I don't need to get blasted in the face with 1080, 60 frames a second, right? I have been playing low resolution games for years, and it doesn't bother me. I notice it more now, but it still doesn't take me out of the experience. I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 recently, and struggling real bad. I play strictly in handheld mode. I rarely ever dock my Switch, to the point where I just play on my Switch Lite now. So it's struggling. It's real struggle. It's like turning around. Oh wow, yeah. Frame rate goes down, 20s, 15s even, and it's like oof. But it doesn't happen during battle. It happens in the open world, and that's to be expected. Xenoblade Chronicles is an open world game, and even on the Switch, I was baffled they got that game to run on the Wii U. On the Wii, I was baffled that Xenoblade Chronicles X ran on the Wii U. Baffled that they got Xenoblade Chronicles to run on the 3DS. So, they take concessions where they can, and the game is fine. The game isn't worse for the concessions, but that's what a lot of games on the Switch have had over the past 4 years, just concessions. Just taking liberties, having a denser fog, less ambient occlusion, less god rays. The shadows just aren't there. The lighting just isn't there. It's like almost there, like barely noticeable. And if you're into the heat of it, you're not gonna notice. The frame rate, almost there. Like I believe Mario Odyssey, no issues whatsoever. I don't remember hitching at all in that game. Hitched in Zelda, massive open world game. Hitched in Xenoblade Chronicles, massive open world game. So, not surprised there, right? But on smaller games, you rarely ever notice if there are any issues at all. But the Switch Pro will alleviate all of that. And on top of that, Nintendo has an incentive to release a system that can play games better, that can run games better, that can run games from other publishers, for example, not just Nintendo. So we see less and less of third-party games skipping the Switch because it just can't run on the Switch, or the amount of concessions that it takes is not even worth it, or it might take years, like we saw with Apex Legends. And we might be able to actually play Overwatch 2 on the Switch and not have it be an issue. We might be able to play Diablo 4 on the Switch without having it to be an issue, and Diablo 3 ran perfectly great on the Switch. And I don't expect Blizzard to not launch Diablo 4 on the Switch. It would be a little crazy if they didn't, because I don't think that the game is that graphically intensive that it requires so much. But a Switch Pro overall would be a good move. I absolutely would purchase one. I thought that there would be an asterisk there because I am concerned that Nintendo doesn't really seem interested in fixing the Joy-Con issues. That just happens constantly at all times, and this Switch Pro won't be Joy-Con locked like the Lite is. So you'll be able to switch those out or easily replace those parts. obviously fix the issue, but Nintendo themselves don't really seem interested in fixing the problem. To the point where they don't even acknowledge that Joy-Con drift is a real thing, to the point where they're getting sued. There's a class action lawsuit for Joy-Con drift because it is bad. Like, it is a serious problem that should be addressed. I will not cape for Nintendo for that at all. They need to fix that shit, dog. It's not good. It's not good. And it continues to be an issue to the point where people have to open up their systems, have to buy special tools to open up their systems in order to fix their consoles. Because sending it back to Nintendo is not a tenable idea. And also, they might just replace your old console with a new one or a refurbished one with the Joy-Con problem. So, why even bother doing that? But Joy-Con issues aside, I think that a Switch Pro is something that is just gonna cement Nintendo as one of the best-selling systems. Like right now, we're still seeing PS4s, PS5s, and Xbox Series X's or Xbox. Oh Jesus, what is it? Is it the SSX? Yeah, it's the Sex. It's the Sex. The name is still bad. I don't have any ill will towards that console, but the name is just so terrible. The Xbox Series X. We're still seeing shortages. We're still seeing Sony and Microsoft have trouble making their systems because of the superconductor shortage, because of all the import tariffs that were there. It was just a massive problem. And scalpers now, people breaking into trucks, just stealing all the PS5s. Like, come on guys. So it is still a problem, but the PS5 is on the trajectory of being another one of the best-selling systems. Like the PS4 was insane. The PS4 hit over 100. I can see the PS5 hitting over 100 if people actually start getting it. Sony can actually produce them, and the Nintendo Switch is gonna blast by that. The Nintendo Switch is gonna knock that out of the park. The Nintendo Switch is honestly one of Nintendo's best system, and all of that is on the back of the Nintendo Switch being unique, being able to play games on the go, being able to play full-on console games on the go or on your TV without much issue. Sure, they take concessions, but are you really gonna notice those concessions while you're playing in the heat of it? Hardly. You're hardly ever, unless it's a serious frame slideshow issue. People rarely ever notice. And on top of that, Nintendo Switch gets some of the best games ever. Some of the most highly rated and highest rated games ever come on the Switch. And even games that are 7-8 years old now, like Mario Kart is, like that game came out on the Wii, was a re-release on the Switch, and it's still every single month one of the best selling games on the Switch, because on top of brand new people buying the Switch, there are people who are, the game just sells like crazy. Same with Zelda. Zelda's one of the most purchased games. Even 3 years later, it's still insane that people are still buying that game. You would think that everyone that owns the Switch owns Zelda, and that tells you that the people that are buying Switches, the new Switch customers, are also buying Zelda, and they're buying Mario Kart, and they're buying Mario Odyssey. And when they get those first party games and they beat them and they realize that, oh, this is an incredible indie machine as well, it creates a feedback loop of Nintendo just continuously selling systems, and that success is going to carry them into the Switch Pro, where people aren't going to be leery about buying another console because it'll be cheap and it'll play games better. It's not going to be a PS4 to PS4 Pro situation where, you're paying an extra $200 for a Pro, which still struggles to maintain a steady frame rate, still struggles to hit proper resolutions. So it almost wasn't worth it to get a Switch Pro. Like, it loaded the games faster, but at a certain point, it was just, okay, what am I actually paying for here? Am I just paying for faster load times and better graphics? Because the PS4 Pro launched at the same price as the PS5, and the PS5 is leaps and bounds above the PS4 Pro. But let me know what you feel about the Switch Pro in the comments below. Do you think that this is a good move for Nintendo? Do you think that you'll be purchasing a Switch Pro? Personally, I'm still up in the air, but knowing me, I'm a fiend. I'm gonna be playing Monster Hunter. I'm gonna be playing Zelda, and I'm definitely gonna be playing Metroid, and Pokemon. So those games are gonna run better in Switch Pro. So obviously, I'm just like, all right, I'll shell out the extra $300. It's gonna come around a time where I have money to burn on a brand new console. So it is what it is. I've been Cassius Kento. Let me know how you feel in the comments below. But whatever you decide to do, whether it's like, comment, or subscribe, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and until next time, please take care.